big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. The website's still being worked on, so just contact me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure and check out our Patreon. We have good old Ed Parnell is putting up brand new content every single night. All the stuff you hear Monday to Friday on AM/FM radio goes up on Patreon, ad-free, all the commercials cut out. And I'm putting up to, oh yeah, you know what I got to put up there? Good old Hank Harrison passed away, and we have the link to his memorial, his YouTube memorial, and his funeral service and all that kind of stuff. It's a YouTube link where you can watch the videos and the pictures and stuff and people's commentary. Beautiful service for Hank Harrison. Also, too, if you like our show, check out our Spreaker, Spreaker.com. You go there, sign up for free. There's a chat room. There you get an email notification anytime we put up new content. And you can find our guest today. We have a returning guest. Chris Todd is returning. He did the show. He brought us all that information about Charlie Ehrlich, who was allegedly O.J. Simpson's accomplice. And we got a little update on that, too, because since that time, the Miami Herald, I think it was, or the Miami the newspaper is suing Ehrlich suing the Miami newspaper. So we'll get a little update on that. I believe Mr. Todd may be involved in that as well, too. But today we're talking about the Delphi murders, 5-year-old murders, unsolved. And Chris Todd tells us he's got this solved. Chris Todd, are you there?
Hey, Ed, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much. Remind the audience, who is Chris Todd?
My name's Chris Todd. I'm an investigative producer, author, journalist here in Los Angeles, California. And I've been in Hollywood for about 25 years, and I kind of transitioned about 7 years ago into becoming an investigator, producer in that true crime realm. And I've worked a couple famous high-profile cases and some civilian over these past 7 years. And I'm here to talk today about the Delphi murder case and my journey with that for over 3 years.
Before we get into Delphi, first of all, I got to have you come back one time and talk about Natalie Wood, because I know you're like on the inside with all of that, the whole Natalie Wood story. I've tried to get her sister on the show a few times and unsuccessfully. But what's going on with all this OJ stuff and his lawsuit?
Yeah, and I'd be honored to do Natalie Wood. And
yeah.
I know you're talking about Lana Wood, and I don't know if Lana Wood's the best person to talk to. You could try to get her. She's done a lot of podcasts. She's also done a lot of interviews. And that story has been going on for about 7 years. I was part of the team that initially brought it back to the limelight about 7 years ago. And there was the captain, Dennis Davern, was involved, and some of his investigators and book authors. I went away from them when I found out they were being deceptive about kind of the murder of Natalie Wood. And Chris Walken knows a lot. Dennis Davern knows a lot. They lied about, they totally covered it up. And there's a lot there, and I'd be honored to do Natalie for her. I was really part of that story for a very long time. So I'm always willing to spread the truth about Natalie and bring justice and some type of healing for her and for the fans. The OJ stuff, yes, I did work with the OJ accomplice, Charlie Ehrlich, and we're going to be in Miami-Dade, possibly in the 11th Circuit Court. We're waiting to see if the judge is going to clear for his defamation suit to go forward, and basically we trapped him into a lawsuit. He's O.J. Simpson's murder accomplice from June 12th.
Right. Now, how are you involved in a lawsuit? Are you named in the lawsuit?
I don't want to say too much right now about it. There's a source that we allowed to come forward, and that source will be protected under the California Shield Law. And so that source will not be deposed or involved in the actual lawsuit. I can be involved in a lawsuit if I choose to. Right now, it's basically Charlie suing the Miami New Times and their parent company.
Right. So people should take a look for that on Spreaker, the Opperman Report, Spreaker.com, because we have the whole O.J. Simpson's alleged accomplice with our L.A. investigative reporter. You can get a hold of Chris Todd if you got some tips or something like that. Email him at investigatela19@gmail.com. Did I get that right?
Investigator, just investigator,
yeah.
LA19 at Gmail. Investigator LA19 at gmail.com.
Gotcha. Investigator LA19 at gmail.com. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Mr. Chris Todd, man, what's going on with these Delphi murders? I've never even heard of this.
You know, the Delphi murder case of Abby and Libby, and I think it's a very topical, relevant story. It's been in the news a lot. Court TV just did a special on it. We had leaked some stuff to them, and we had one of our private investigators go on there with Vinnie Politan. And that story, it's a sad story first. These were two 14-year-old girls that were murdered on this high bridge out in Delphi, Indiana. And my journey and story on this is quite interesting, and it kind of came back, kind of reared its ugly head. And that's why I'm coming forward today to talk about what's going on. I walked away from this 2 years ago, and then they released a FBI search warrant that I can read from today, too, if we have a little bit of time, but that the Indiana State Police and Carroll County Sheriff did not want actually out in the public domain, and there was a podcast that actually leaked it, and I don't want to say how they got it, but they put out this FBI search warrant that describes this suspect that I had told them about 3 years ago to the families, a couple of the family members. And then I reunited with one other family member, and I just feel bad for these people. The wool's been pulled over their eyes, and they're chasing a bunch of ghosts. They're on a witch hunt right now, and these girls, nothing's been solved, and they have a video of the guy and his voice.
Ah, horrific. Well, why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us about who are these girls, what are their ages, and what's the circumstances, the official story of the circumstances of their death.
Sure, yeah, just kind of reiterating the public domain version. Abby Williams and Liberty German, those are their names, and they were best friends in Delphi, Indiana, and they went hiking. It was February 13th, 5 years ago, and they were hiking, broad daylight, relatively safe. There were reports that there were a few people hiking around, but it's a very desolate area. It's a small town. And they went hiking across this bridge, this high bridge. I think it's called the Monon, has a kind of a strange name. And they were on this bridge hiking, and eventually the next day at about 12 o'clock noon, they find their bodies as homicides about, I don't know, it's not that far, maybe a quarter mile from the bridge. And they actually took a Snapchat video of the actual guy walking towards them.
Oh, wow.
And they call him the BG, or the bridge guy. In the internet and all the stories, they call him the bridge guy. And they have video of him, not very long. It's about 45 seconds to 50 seconds, I believe. No one's ever seen it. I do know some of the family members that have seen the video in its entirety, and we'll go into all these kind of strange things they did with pencil sketches versus using the video and screenshotting the video and still photos. So but these two girls were brutally murdered in front of each other together, and there needs to be justice. And there's a cover-up in Delphi and in Indiana. And I'm going to come forward, and this has to happen today.
So Abby and Liberty, how old were they?
I think they were 14 at the time of the murders.
14 years old. And was it common for them to go hiking out there by themselves?
Yeah, they had been there many times. It's a hiking trail, and it's kind of a dangerous bridge. It's very creaky looking, and the wood is kind of spaced out. I wouldn't walk on the thing. But yeah, it's a little scary when you really the whole situation of it, the whole scene of it is very ominous.
And but they were comfortable hiking on that bridge?
Yeah, this was their town. This is where they lived.
Gotcha. And you said that they were murdered in front of each other. They were forced to watch each other being murdered and stuff like that. How do we know that?
Well, I mean, when I say in front of each other,
Yeah.
I mean there's a possibility that he makes one walk away, turn around, don't look. He had a gun. He held him at gunpoint. The murders are committed with a sharp instrument, which is most likely a knife, and that was hidden for a long time about how they even died. So only through this leaked FBI search warrant do we even know this stuff. The police tried to hide this stuff for 5 years, which to me is pathetic.
Well, then why do you think that is? Why do you think the cops are covering this up?
Well, I want to go into that after. I think just
Okay.
focus on, because step by step, it's going to be shocking to a lot of people here, your audience, about how this went down. I just want to go kind of step by step. But, well, let's put it this way. The guy tells them down the hill, and they walk down the hill, and he walks them back towards this river creek, and they can't find the bodies for like almost 24 hours. So he kind of knew the property and takes them down there. They're killed by a knife, so we're assuming their throats are slit, and they're with each other. So they're either watching it happen, or one's turn around, come over to one, slice her throat, go back to the other one. She doesn't see what's happening. There's no panic. There's no sign of physical struggle with this guy, and then slices her throat. Boom, that's it. I mean, that's how fast it could be done. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying they're together when they are killed.
Gotcha. And when you're saying that he walked him down did he confess to this? How do we know this?
Well, it's not. No, there's
Okay.
no confession to this. That's why it's gonna. We'll go over this whole situation with this guy Ron Logan, who was the property owner of the land. He actually owned the land where the bridge was, or parts of that land. And it's really a fascinating story. When I reveal some of this, it's going to be pretty shocking.
So then I'm assuming the kids were reported missing. The cops went on a search, and then they found the bodies.
Yeah, and they couldn't find them actually the whole night. They go report. They're basically killed about 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and they can't find them till about 12:15 the next day.
Oh, that's horrific. Okay, and then they launched an investigation. What's the steps of the investigation?
Okay, so going from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like in kind of chronological. Okay. So they're reported missing. They send a search party. They don't find them right away. They're not far from them. They're less than a quarter mile. They go the wrong way when they search. They're also looking in the river. There's a river below them. They think they either fell off the bridge. So now they're looking downriver for the bodies, right? Thinking they fell off, they drowned, which makes sense.
Right.
They are not far from where they are basically kidnapped. Less than a quarter mile. Now, they don't find them at all the whole night. So now the next day at about noon, they find them. They keep everything hush-hush. They won't say if they're shot, if they're stabbed. They don't talk about any of that. They release none of that information. Okay? They don't know there's a video. At that time, they don't know that Libby took a video of Abby walking on the bridge and also this guy walking to them. This is BG, or we call AKA Bridge Guy. He's on tape. Now, there's not a lot of tape, and the police tried to say, well, we have more tape, but we're not going to show you. I found out through one of the family members that's all the video they have is what they showed. She drops her phone to, like, kind of pretend she's not filming him as they walk right towards him, yes. Now, they have more audio. It's about a 50-second long video and recording. But there's not a ton of audio also, one of the family members told me too, and this took me years to get this out of these people. So he basically says, guys, down the hill. And that's what they have recorded, and they have them walking towards them for about 5 seconds, a couple screenshots, or motion picture. And that's what they have. That stuff comes out later. They don't know that at first. So there's a panic in the town. the sheriff's there, the FBI gets involved, and they immediately start to actually hover around this property owner's land, his farm, this guy Ron Logan. And they don't really look hard at him right away, and they kind of ask him, like, we're not going to search your this is all in the search warrant. I can read it verbatim if we want, but in the search warrant, the FBI search warrant, which only was released now, like a month.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Ago. So they hid this. And why? Why did the Indiana State Police and Carroll County, why did you hide the information? Well, we got to keep our cards close to the vest. This is what they say on camera. Well, you haven't solved anything in 5 years. You have a video of the guy and you have a voice recording. Why are you not asking the public for help? Oh, we released some of the video and we released some of the audio. That's true, you did. And then you drew 2 pencil sketches of the guy that look absolutely nothing alike at all.
I got a couple of quick questions for you. First one, when you said it was a Snapchat video, I think you said it was, right?
Yeah, I think it's Snapchat or whatever. I think it's Snapchat.
But it was never it was never broadcast or sent to anybody. It was just on their phone, local to that phone.
It was in her phone. I don't believe she sent that to anyone. I don't know how Snapchat even works, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But the video itself was in her phone, correct, and they released the actual imagery, the little video, and the audio recording. The police revealed about 5 to 10 seconds total.
And they put that on TV for people to see.
That's everywhere. You just go online and type Bridge Guy video, and there's going to be 1,000 hits.
Okay, now Ron Logan, is he like a rich, powerful guy in town, a big landowner, big political donate?
Well, I mean, this thing was shocking to me, too, because as I was... Let me back it up for a second, because I want to lead into it, So 3 years ago, I worked these other famous cases like we just talked about, and they took years to do. I've done a lot of high-profile stuff. I've seen mafia stories. I've seen serial killer stories. I've met killers. I've worked with killers. I've written scripts with them. I've made tapes with them. I've done a bunch of stuff with them. I kind of know how they think, right? And it's a sick world. It's a dark world, and it's not for everybody. And I reached out to one of the mothers of the Delphi girls, and I befriended her lightly on Facebook. And I started a conversation. This is 3 years ago. Let's make sure it's like a year or two after the murders. I reach out to them. Hey, what's going on? I don't know if you want my help. This is what I do. This is who I am. She was receptive. She's like, I'd take any help. We can't, there's no one's been to my daughter's murder. So I stayed in touch with her for a couple of months. We kept talking back and forth. And I said, what's with this guy, Ron Logan? Because in the video that you have, they also interviewed this guy with Inside Edition and also with a couple of local radio stations. They interviewed him. He has 3 interviews on YouTube. Now, when he walks up to the camera, his limp is the same limp as the guy on the bridge. And he's the same body type. And he's wearing the same hat and coat. And so at first, I thought it was kind of a different hat. I wasn't super sure it was him. I was like, wow, this guy's got a lot of nerve if he would just go on camera wearing the same outfit. So in the beginning, I couldn't lay hard peg that it's Ron Logan, right? But I said, what about him? Oh, the police cleared him. And I said, oh, okay, well, I don't want to say too much. When you deal with the mothers or family members, you got to be really careful. They'll block you. They'll call you. They freak out. Okay, I've been dealing with this for over 7 years. So I said, what? Well, they cleared him. I'm like, well, how'd they clear him? Oh, well, they say they have DNA. And here comes this inevitable DNA discussion, and everybody always, we need DNA and DNA. And I'm just like tired of people talking about DNA. It's like killers don't always leave their DNA there, and you don't always detect it. And also, everyone's DNA all over them when we even interact with each other in a day-to-day basis. Some DNA lives for a very long time, unless you wash it off, bleach it off, or sunlight, or some extreme. Some DNA literally can last hundreds of years. Okay? Go look up its half-life. So I talked to her about that. She's saying, no. I walk away. I leave it alone. I go on to my other cases. They're way more high profile. I wanted to help these girls. I was touched by the story, of course, but I had cases that were going to bring me a lot more to-do and hoopla. I didn't need to, focus on a small town in Indiana. I walk away for 2 years. I work my other cases, have all this drama on these other things. And a month ago, one of my assistants emails me early in the morning and goes, you need to see what's going on in Delphi. And I'm like, I forgot about this thing. Well, lo and behold, here comes this search warrant. Oh, this podcast, they just released a search warrant by an FBI special agent. And they didn't want it released. They somehow got it. And they made it public, and the police didn't want them to. Well, what a coincidence. This whole FBI search warrant talks about, guess who? Ron Logan. The whole thing. Well, that's weird. So I kind of pop out of bed. They hit me 6 in the morning. I pop out, and I'm like, oh, now I get it. They're like, yeah, you get it? I'm like, we said this 3 years ago. So my indignation, what happened to me was I started to be like, I'm kind of getting tired and annoyed by the media and the police constantly ignoring me. It's getting dangerous. It's almost dangerous, right? So if I come forward and I go, I think this is the guy and I have some reason to believe that, maybe you want to listen to me. I did solve arguably the most famous civilian murder case of all time. Maybe I kind of know when you get on an airplane, right? Do you quiz the pilot? Do you know how to fly? Do you drug test him? No, you don't. You trust the system. So if I'm this guy and I'm out there solving these famous murder cases and labeling killers, wouldn't you want to listen to me? So Indiana State Police ignores me. Carroll County ignores me, calls me crazy on the phone. They send me some emails. Recently, I reached back out to them. Yeah, contact us here. This is private. We want to talk to you. They showed some interest. Okay, what's up? I want to get on the phone. No, we just do it through email, and then we'll sift it. It's like, you guys. And so the FBI search warrant lists Ron Logan, and I'm going to list the key elements from this search warrant. Why are they talking about Ron Logan? So it just brought me back. I'm like, this is getting dangerous.
What was the subject of the search?
I could have murdered.
What was the subject location of the search warrant? Where was this search warrant executed?
His house, his property.
Ron Logan's house and property.
Yes, inside and out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's all there, and the judge says, even there, you are ordered to search his. I like how I always love that kind of thing. This FBI agent submits the request for the search warrant, I believe around March. It's like mid-March. It's about a month later. She has to compile her reasoning, right? She's kind of pitching the judge, right?
Right.
I want a search warrant. She's with the FBI. She's not with the Indiana State Police. Now, her jurisdiction, she may not really have jurisdiction. I don't know. I'm not an expert, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if the FBI has jurisdiction over this crime because there's children involved. I don't know. Obviously, she's coming forward and saying, we need to search this guy's property and all his phones and his tablets and his computers. They think he took photos and took souvenirs, moved the bodies, and I'll explain that after. So, and it just woke me up, and that's why I'm coming forward. I'm like, and I have more evidence why it is Ron Logan. And we can say allege, and we can say it's my theory, and to protect you and your show, sure, I will allege. It is my theory that Ron Logan murdered Abby and Libby. He's dead.
Was he brought in for an interrogation?
Not really. He had a probation violation for driving without his license, so they stuck him in jail for about a year. Okay, then they let him out on house arrest.
Oh, really?
And they lied about when he died.
Now, do we now? If they have such specifics, they say, well, we think he moved the body. We think he has souvenirs. How do they come to that conclusion?
Right. So that's in the search warrant. And like I said, this had to kind of reinvigorate me and wake me up. Like, whoa! I need to come back to this real quick. In the search warrant, so I'll list a couple of the main key points. Okay. I'm not going to say the agent's name and stuff. The first thing, it's about 10 to 12 pages long, and the FBI agent is basically saying, she lists the murders quickly about what happened. We found the bodies on February 14th. They're killed on the 13th about 3 p.m. They text the family. They're going to be picked up at 3. They're supposed to be picked up in like 30 minutes. They're only supposed to be there 2 hours, okay? And so they place the time of the murders, and now she points to, now I've revealed it's a woman. That's okay. It's a female officer, agent. She points to Ron Logan. She talks about when they say to him, we're going to search your property if there's something that we find here that points some evidence our way, are we going to find something? He says, I don't know. So she quotes him first saying, that's what Ron Logan told us. He doesn't know if we're going to find any evidence. Okay. They don't search his property, though. On the first day after the murders, they don't. Mm-hmm. And this was part of the problem, right? This search warrant comes a month later. They're going to search his place on like the 17th. They pull him into jail for the probation violation, and I think they get him out of his house. And now they got him gone. They kind of time it out together. Like, let's yank him for the violation on his driving. He drove without his license, suspended for DUI. Let's pull him in on that, and then let's rip his place apart. So that's what basically they do. Okay, so the murders take place between probably 2:30, 2:45, somewhere in there. His cell phone, he sends a text, and he has phone activity around that time around the bridge. She lists that. His phone is pinging near the bridge at that exact moment. Okay? They list a cousin, that they interview a cousin of Ron Logan's, and this cousin, they won't name it, they black out some of the stuff. This cousin says that they drove Ron Logan, picked him up at about 3 o'clock, right around the time of the murders, and drove him to this fish store, this aquarium store, about 22 miles away. Okay? 2 days later, she's listing all this. 2 days later, they re-interview this cousin, okay, what they call them Leos, law enforcement officers, and this separate law enforcement officer interviews the cousin, and the cousin goes, I lied. He told me to make up that alibi story. And they're like, whoa, hold up. You told us you picked him up at 3 o'clock. I didn't pick him up at 3. So now there's a lie, and this cousin says he asked me to lie about when he was picked up, before the bodies are found. Okay, the next morning he calls the cousin and says, hey, say you picked me up. I think the cousin picks him up at about 4 o'clock, 4:30. He's got an hour and a half to either clean up, discard some clothing, cover his tracks, however he's doing it, kills the girls where they are. They are staged and moved, and I'll go into what that possibly could mean at nighttime. So they show the cousin. He lies about the thing. There's a timestamp on his receipt, 5:21 p.m. That's when he checks out. He also lies about when he comes back. Says he comes back at 5. He can't come back at 5. Your receipt says 5:21. They find the receipt in the house on March 6th. They actually did search his house somehow before, too. They somehow say March 6th. So you're lying about when you came back. You're lying about when you left. And you're trying to cover your tracks. Why? Okay? So the agent lists that he gave false and intentionally deceiving information. Okay? Quote, unquote. So that's part of the warrant. 521. So the lying in the interview, the cousin admits to lying, that he asked, and the cousin says, he never had asked me to lie about anything before. So that raises a flag, too. Okay. And this got jumbled of, he's trying to lie because he drove without his license to the dump in the morning before the murders.
Gotcha. Okay, quick. I was going to ask you now a couple of quick questions. Like, why would he need the cousin to drive him? Because he didn't have a license from the DUI. That's why, right?
But here we go. Here it comes. Here comes all the confusion that throws people off. So in the morning at 11 a.m., he drives to the dump. He drives himself to the dump. Before the murders, he's not discarding. Yeah, by himself, he drives. He violates his probation he has a suspended license. Okay? Now, for some reason, he asks for a ride to the aquarium store, probably so that someone witnesses him kind of right after the murders. They see him. It's like a fake alibi, right? Oh, yeah, let's go to the aquarium store. So they drive out there about 22 miles away, but they don't leave at 3. The cousin lies.
Right.
So they leave, and the FBI agent says it's 22 miles away. It takes about 30 minutes to get there. So if the cousin picks him up at 4:15, they're there in plenty of time. He lands at 5, he shops for 20 minutes, and he checks out. He could show up to the aquarium store as late as 5 o'clock.
No, I got you. It looks like the cops went and talked to Logan and says, hey, do you have an alibi for this time? He says, oh, I sure do. Talk to my cousin. They went and talked to the cousin. He gave him one statement. Then later on, he gives him a different statement, says, hey, I lied to you. And here's what really happened.
Right.
And they got a receipt somewhere along the way. Now you said that the crime scene was staged and moved. How do we know that?
So later, now these new reports come out, and this is what the police put out, and also the reporters in Indiana, staged, quote unquote, moved, quote unquote. The bodies have been moved or staged. Okay. Now, let me show. I'm going to look at the notes real quick. Okay, I want to go about Ron Logan's abusive and threatening behavior to other people. He beat women. He threatened to murder people. Had a large stash of guns and knives when they looked through his place. Okay, he worked with large farm animals. What do you do with them? Slit their throats, kill them. So this guy was a real creep. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Ask me a quick question.
Staged? No, it's okay. Staged and moved. And
okay,
also, too, I have a quick question, too, because you're saying if there's some big river by there that he could have dumped them in that river. Explain to me then, staged and moved as opposed to dumping them in that river. What's going on with that?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
The river supposedly would go up and down versus the seasons. It could be like a creek, and then it could be higher.
Okay.
But the stage and move part is this. Okay. So that information comes out. There's some clothing they find. They don't say if they're found nude or not. Some people think they are because they say we find a shoe here, we found a jacket here. There's clothes is pulled off somehow, some way. Okay. Now, Ron Logan's cell phone pings near the bodies at 8 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. She lists it, the FBI agent lists it in the warrant, that at night, on the night of February 13th, his cell phone, his text, now he's either showing somebody photos of the bodies or calling someone or texting someone. I don't know. I'm not God. I don't know. He's around the bodies. His phone's pinging at 8 and 10. What I later started to put the pieces together was he knows the search party is not over there because he could see it from his place. He just walks out a little bit. He knows they're not there. Now, also, let's say he walks out at 8 o'clock in the search party and he runs into the search party. It's his property. He's looking for the bodies too. He's concerned. Then he walks back out at 10:15, goes back out again. Let's go look around. If I run into him, no big deal. So he has this kind of ability or alibi to be there, right? And it may help him. Who knows what's running through the guy's head? He obviously is a psycho who kills 2 little girls for no reason like that. So his phone, she lists, his phone pings during the murder time at the bridge in the exact vicinity, and the FBI agent also specifically says he's not in his residence. He's not in his house. I don't know how they know that, whether Wi-Fi or something, I don't know. Says he is not in his house. He is near where the bodies are discovered. So now, is he wiping them down? Does he take out some bleach wipes? Is he wearing gloves when he kills them? Maybe. We have video of the guy wearing gloves in an interview. So is he out there wiping stuff down? Does he pose them? Is he playing with the bodies? I've seen crazy stuff with these types of people. He could be admiring them. This is his last chance to look at them. They're going to be discovered in about 12 hours. So, I mean, how much more do you need?
Well, also, too, we have the search warrant affidavit saying that they believe he had some kind of souvenir, so that could be taking photos or whatever, like you're saying, too.
Correct.
All fits. Oh, boy. Okay, now, if all these things point to Logan, why wouldn't, and they already, they were concerned enough to hold him on that bogus suspended license. You know, you got guys with DUIs and hit and runs. You can't get them arrested.
Right.
when they arrested this guy for holding for a year on a suspended license. So why not then keep moving forward?
Well, supposedly, from other people I've talked to, and I want to bring up my private investigator that's helped on this a lot too, this guy Jason Jensen, out of Utah. Yeah, he's allowed me to say his name and talk about his work, Jason K. Jensen. And he's done some really amazing stuff on this when I had him look at the Ron Logan photos and the video and the voice, and he's doing a lot of stuff. And he's really a brilliant investigator. He's worked some very famous cases. Right now he's in the news on 2 of them. From what I learned, they did bring Logan in, and they probably questioned him. There's no log of it. There's no public information about it. None of it. Did they try to scare him, hold him, get him off the street? Maybe. We can't speak for the cops, right? Maybe they asked him. Maybe they take a DNA swab. This is what one of the moms kept saying to me. Oh, they're going to have his DNA. Stop with the DNA. Stop. This is where you guys get confused, okay? And I went through this on the other famous case we talked about, okay? And it's not always about DNA. This guy either did it or he didn't do it. It doesn't matter if he didn't leave any evidence, okay? This is where people, we need evidence. No, you don't.
Well, Chris Todd, let me answer this, because we do have this Snapchat. We're calling it a Snapchat, but we have this Snapchat video. And why do you think they're only releasing a small portion of that? If people would be able to identify him, his walk and his clothing and stuff?
Well, in the search warrant, it says over 15 people came forward and said, that looks a lot like Ron Logan in the video. His body type, his size, the way he walks, he's got the baseball cap on. You know, it's the same baseball cap on in the interviews that they interview him in. We look closely at it. It's the same crease down the middle. It's the same color scheme. It's like a green and a beige, almost like a camouflage. He's wearing it in the interview. The only thing he's not wearing are his glasses. In the Snapchat video, he's not wearing glasses, okay? So does he look a little different? Sure. But you can't let that throw you off. Okay, and they go, oh, he's limping because he's walking on the bridge because he's afraid to fall off. It's like, you guys, you're doing it again. There's 200,000 unsolved murders in America, okay? And they say their adds like 3,000 to 5,000 a year. This is exactly why. I'm coming forward not just for Delphi. There's a major problem, sort of, in our justice system and the way the media trolls these like true crime stories and solves nothing, and sells T-shirts and makes podcasts and goes and cuts $1 million deal in Hollywood. It's kind of gross to me, and I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's a pollution of our society. It's kind of people, just how they are, their human nature. They solve nothing. Now the video, answering your question, so there's twofold. At first, the police act like we have a lot more. We're not going to show you. He does an interview with Rich McHugh, News Nation, the superintendent of the ISP. We're going to hold our cards close to the vest, and we're going to say that definitively, like we're in charge. Don't you guys? You're not in charge. We're in charge. Okay, sir. But what I find out later is through one of the family members who told me, kind of accidentally, very recently, that's all they got. I already saw the video. Oh, they showed it to you? Yeah. Oh, so Libby puts her phone down, huh? Yeah, she sees him for like a second, and as he gets closer, she puts it down. Smart girl, right? She films him, keeps it on, holds it down by her side. He says, girls, guys. He says, guys, down the hill. She's still got it on. Now it goes off. At 50 seconds, it's gone. So there is no more video of him. And there's not much audio either, they said, which I was surprised. They said, does he talk more? Is he saying more? They're like, no. You just hear him walking. They start, he's got a gun. He's pointing a gun at him. Even these internet sleuths show that there's a gun inside his jacket sitting there. And let me reference real quick the FBI search warrant that this woman talks about his guns and also says, you know, he has this kind of fancy fanny pack. You know what she means by fancy fanny pack? Holster. And that's what he's got under the jacket. His gun is in a holster. You can look online. They show the outline. They're like, that looks like a gun. And it probably is. And I wish these girls ran. I do. I wish they ran away, but they didn't. And we can't turn back the hands of time. So that's not. They don't have a lot of video. There's not video images. But let's talk about the pencil sketch. Let me ask you, Ed, yourself. Why would you put a pencil sketch out if you have a video of the guy?
That's a good question. And how did they derive this pencil sketch? By looking at the video and making a sketch of the video?
They wouldn't tell us. What one of the family members told me, too, was they wrote the first pencil sketch. It's very detailed, and it looks like, oh, my God, that's the guy. And he's got a goatee, and he's got this paperboy cap on. Nope, it's not. It's a baseball cap. I thought it had earmuffs at first by the video. It's not. That's what Jason Jensen had to point out to me. He goes, that's a baseball hat. I'm zooming in. Look at what I'm doing. He's outlining it. I go, oh, that's the same hat. He goes, yeah. And when they do an interview with him a couple weeks later, a week later, you see how he's wearing a red shirt and no hat and no jacket? I'm like, oh, yeah, because he knows they got video.
Chris Todd, let me ask you a couple of questions. Because we only got about 10 minutes left. Now, real quick, you're right. We don't. Why did the FBI come into this case? No one's. Have you asked anybody why? And what about Mr. Jensen? Has he asked why did the FBI entered into this case?
Well, we did use someone to write the ISP, and they ignored us. We have a paper trail now because we're going to come forward with the paper trail to the ISP that we said, you're going to have to sacrifice Ron Logan for your department. Because if you don't, and all this truth starts to come out, you're going to look pretty stupid. And I'm not here to bash the cops. But to answer the quick question is, if the FBI does not have, they don't talk about it. You can't call somebody up and go, "Hey, what's up?" It's all cloaked, man.
Right. Then let me ask you this: when you're looking through the criminal history of Mr. Ron Logan, are there any indications that the kind of cases he had in the past that he could have?
Yes.
But no, wait. That he could have been working as an informant for the local police, and that's what's causing this conflict of interest.
I doubt it. I mean, he has beating an ex-girlfriend. He threatened to kill his ex-girlfriend who lived with him in 2016. It's in the search warrant. She said to the baby daddy, if I wind up dead, Ron Logan did it.
Okay.
He was an abuser. He was an alcoholic. He's a psycho, weirdo, creeper guy. Okay. And look at his mugshot.
What is he? How did he earn a living? What was his occupation?
He had a farm. He had some land. I'm not saying he's a rich guy. I don't know what he does. I don't know too much about his property. And I said they should sue him, take his whole estate, file a civil lawsuit, take every single piece of property this guy owns, just on principle alone. Not about the money. Just take everything from his family. And so if they want to do that, they can. For me, if we don't have a lot of time, I'll wrap it up like this.
No, we got plenty of time. Let me ask a question real quick. Did he have a family? Did he have a wife? Did he have kids? He has brothers and sisters on the...
I don't want to say too much about his family. He does have a child, and he died just 5 months ago. They lied about when he died. There's no obituary. On his background dossier, it does not say deceased. It does not. I have it.
Okay.
Why doesn't it say deceased?
Well, sometimes it takes some time for that to pop up on a database search.
Well, I know. It's supposed to come up pretty 5 months.
Nah, because that comes through the credit reporting agencies. But the thing is this. Okay, so how do
they lied about his death.
How do you know he's dead? How did you find out he's dead?
Well, that's a funny thing. So the reporters list, and everyone says he died in 2020, 2 years ago. I have a conversation with one of the family members very recently, and kind of it was contentious. I will stick up for these family members, if they're going to call me names and say I'm like the rest of the media and I'm trying to garner fame. I'm not like the rest of the media. If you look at my history and what I do, I'm not like Hollywood. I'm not like them. That's why they don't like me, because I'm not fake like them. And I don't troll people's murder stories for profit. I try to solve them and bring justice. So the family member says to me, I just saw Ron Logan. I go, well, hold up. It says he died in 2020. We just said on Court TV he died in 2020. Because Jason went on Court TV. You can look it up. Jason Jensen,
okay.
Court TV, Vinnie Politan, about Delphi, very recently. And we triggered that. We got them talking again. We said,
okay, so it's Court TV is a source that this guy died? Because I got to tell you something. They get stuff wrong all the time.
Oh, okay. Then hey, well then.
Okay.
No, I'm not. No, it wasn't just Court TV.
Okay.
It was other reporters online saying that he died in 2020. So
All right.
I say to the family member, and this person's opening up to me, which I appreciated, and I still can contact them. And they go, I just saw him. He gave me his phone number. I go, what? He just died. I saw him in December or early January of this year. I go, they said he died in 2020. No, he gave me his phone number. Oh, I want to help out. I'm like, this is sick. This is really sick. So he just died at one of the hospitals. No obituary, no public death notice. Why? Why are you guys hiding his death? Why? What's up? Because it's a fraud.
Okay, and
The whole thing is a ruse.
Did you
He doesn't have any pull.
Oh, did you get your hands on that phone number and try and call him up? See if he answers the phone.
I actually, here's the funny thing for your audience, because I know they love kind of like investigative, conspiratorial stuff. So
Sure.
I love this too. So I get the dossier. It lists a cell number for Ron Logan.
Okay.
I call it. No answer. It's live though. It says he lives in Florida. I'm like, no, there's no way this guy is still alive, fakes his death, moves to Florida. I call the number again. Nothing. 2 days later, call the cell number again. I just keep hammering it because I'm like, this thing's not dead. It's not going straight to voicemail and stuff. A guy answers. I go, yeah, can I speak to Ron Logan? I just asked. He goes, some people have called me. I'm not Ron Logan. I go, but this number is real. He goes, yeah, but I got the number like 4 or 5 years ago. I go, oh, okay, probably when Ron changes his number, right? So this guy says to me, he goes, some guy keeps calling me and goes, hey, Ron, I thought you moved. I thought you were, where are you? And I go, well, can you give me that guy's number? He goes, I don't want to give out the guy's, I don't want to deal with this anymore. He goes, I told the guy I'm going to call the police on him. And the guy wrote back, or they were texting also, and he goes, I'm going to hand in this stuff to the sheriff. I'm going to tell him you're asking me about Ron Logan. The guy who kept calling this number said to him, he goes, hey, Ron, they're going to throw you off the high bridge. So this guy was either harassing. He knows it's Ron Logan, right? It's probably some angry townie who's like on this guy. So, look, I'm not saying I am the only one that looked at Ron Logan. This guy lives in that town. People knew it was him. And this is just another example of the cops, big ego. No, we're not going to listen to you guys. Oh, it looks a lot like Ron Logan. Oh, we need evidence. We got any DNA? Like, it's just, this whole thing is, go look up unsolved murders. Go read a couple cases. Look at what the cops did. Look at Rachel Runyon. We're gonna come forward on Rachel Runyon in Utah. We solved her murder. We solved it, and not necessarily myself. Jason Jensen did too. He's the pivot on that. He solved it in like 2 days. It took them 38 years. They couldn't solve it. He solved it in 1 day. He posted something saying, hey, anybody know about Rachel Runyon? This guy drove this car. He bought the car. It's a fascinating story how he did this. He bought this weird Pinto Squire. Anybody see this car? A family member writes him a day later and goes, yeah, my uncle drove that car. This is his name, blah, blah, blah. He lived down the street from Rachel Runyon. 1 day. So this is about, I'll just say this last thing.
Yeah.
This is about our police, and I think the FBI is a hero on this. They deserve some new publicity instead of getting slammed by all these other sexual abuse cases right now. They're just getting dragged through the mud. The FBI was the hero on Ron Logan, on Delphi. They didn't want to listen to him. They probably don't have jurisdiction. They can't do it. They said it was him. They showed all the reasoning. So they deserve some credit on this. It's not, they can't be bashed on this. They are the hero on this more than the police.
Real quick, it looks like a really good witness in all this is the cousin, right? Now, have either you or Jensen tried to contact the cousin?
The cousin's name is blacked out, redacted. I do have an access to possibly go to that person because I know someone. I know the people that have the unredacted version, and I could probably do it. But to me, I feel I don't need to because, well, I'm going to go to this cousin, and the cousin's going to say, yeah, he probably didn't say anything about the murders. He's going to say, like, hey, I need you to say you picked me up an hour early. So to me, the most important people really are the families. They're the mothers and the grandparents. One of the girls was raised by her grandparents. And I know they've been hounded 1,000 times. They get called. I get it.
Yeah, sure.
So I've left them alone. I'm here to bring forward, let's all look at Ron Logan. Let's look closer. He's dead. You can't prosecute a dead guy, okay? But there's a cover-up that happened. The story's interesting. That shouldn't happen again. And I don't care if these people are in hell, heaven, purgatory. They still need to pay. They need to be labeled and named so the people can move on. And they're also doing these crazy witch hunts about Anthony Schatz and Kegan Kline. I read the whole interrogation. You know what's funny is I want to drop this real quick just for your audience because I know your people are cool. Kegan Kline gets interviewed. He has a fake account called Anthony Schatz. And he has a Ferrari and he has a six-pack. Yeah, I have a Ferrari. They're like, Kegan, you don't have a Ferrari. Oh, yeah, that's right, I don't, because he lives in a fantasy world. He's a catfish, okay? Somehow Libby had talked to him or the friend at a sleepover the day before, just all this crazy stuff. In his interrogation, Kegan Kline says, well, I don't want to take a polygraph or I'm going to fail one because I'm nervous. You guys are saying I murdered 2 girls. I didn't do anything. I didn't know these girls. He says O.J. Simpson failed a polygraph too. And the detectives are kind of not paying attention. And Kegan Kline says to me, you do know who O.J. Simpson is, right? And I'm reading this. I'm like, how is O.J. Simpson's name dropped into this 190-page interrogation? And so I don't know the correct coincidence of that. I just was like kind of blown away. I'm like, what the heck? And they're going to go on witch hunts. They're going to go on wild goose chases. They're going to ruin other people's lives. And they're going to have these families never know who killed their daughters for 25 years. And the city's going to live in fear. It's foul.
Let me ask you a question. Chris Todd, by the way, if anybody has any information on this, give an email to Chris Todd, investigator la19@gmail.com. Any tips or any kind of information. But Chris, now what if you have your hands on this search warrant affidavit? Is there any chance I can get a hold of that and publish it?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Man, of course you can.
Yeah, send that right on to me, my friend. I'll put that up in the Patreon right there right away in the free section of the Patreon so when people can read that and look forward to this interview.
Oh, yeah, if you Google it, yeah, I will send it to you, but I'm saying if you just Google Ron Logan FBI search warrant, it's going to pop up. It's going to come through, I think, Wish TV in Indiana. They'll have it. You'll be able to click on it. It's public, and the podcasters are called Murder Sheet. That's the name of their podcast, and they stamp their name all over it like they own it. Congratulations. And they even try to say, oh, it's not Ron Logan. And they were on the Court TV episode looking like 2 deers in a headlight, which is fine. I give them credit. They're heroes, too, because they at least stuck their neck out and published this interrogation of Kegan Kline and also the FBI search warrant. But they try to go on there and say, well, this case isn't closed. We can't say it's Ron Logan. You know why they look so scared and nervous? Because the whole search warrant says Ron Logan's name. So you're going on there saying, we don't think it's Ron Logan. Then why are you releasing it and saying it's not him? His name is the only one as the suspect. That's why they look all confused, because the cat's out of the bag. You got caught.
Chris Todd, thank you so much, man. Anything new comes up, give me a call. We'll put you right on air and update the audience on this. Investigator la19@gmail.com. As soon as you get a chance, send me that kind of stuff. We'll put that up there along with the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.